But let's talk about Trey Hendrickson. He made some interesting comments. He was on the Pat McAfee Show. He talked about his him being a little displeased with the way he found out about the comments Duke Tobin made recently, which is via text from his dad, right? From via a tweet he saw. But what are your thoughts on the Trey Hendrickson, situation?
I think obviously he wanted a deal done.
Yeah.
And then he didn't get it. Initially.
Yeah.
And he asked for a trade.
Yeah.
And I think that honestly, I think all the pressure is on his agent.
Yeah.
To get a deal done.
Yeah.
Because what did he got a 1-year extension at that point?
Yep.
I don't think that Trey Hendrickson saw that as good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And with any player, Trey is now 30.
Yeah.
With any player, you want to make as much money as possible.
Yeah.
You want as much guarantees as possible because they have to protect themselves also. Like,
Right.
not every player is going to have a 10, 12, 15-year career.
Right.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
So going in, I think he knows that, hey, I was the most productive defensive edge rusher as far as sacks are concerned.
Right.
And I want to be paid for that.
Right. 100%. You want to be paid accordingly. And I wonder if a lot of the Trey Hendrickson discourse comes down to, we know the way the Bengals structure their contracts, right? He did have another 2 years left on his deal when he first asked for money, but the guarantees were no longer a thing. So I wonder, would the Bengals make a special exception knowing Trey's age, but also the same way we say they know his age, we have to talk about them knowing his production and knowing his value, right? Because we're not just saying Trey Hendrickson anymore. We have to say all-pro Trey Hendrickson, NFL sack leader Trey Hendrickson. So it makes
potentially
me
MVP,
potentially defensive player of the year, Trey Hendrickson, which I think should be the case. It's kind of crazy he's not being talked about, more about like the TJ Watts and the Myles Garrett. But I wonder, would the Bengals change structurally how they do their contracts to accommodate a Trey Hendrickson? Because I have to think it comes down to the guarantees, guaranteeing past and beyond year one, right? Guaranteeing maybe flowing into. I think the most realistic option is giving Trey Hendrickson a 2 to 3 year extension, having guarantees in both of those years, and then going from there. I think. But again, the way they structure their contracts, they always have to protect themselves, and I get that. I get that. But I think for an exceptional player, a player that has been such a huge piece for the organization, like one would even say a franchise player, I think you have to probably change the way you do things. You don't get a player like Trey Hendrickson, quite often, is my thoughts.
Well, I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I love seeing Blackout Trey on NFL Sundays
sure.
at 1 o'clock. Like, I think that he is absolutely incredible at what he does on the football field. But I also know how the Bengals are. And I also remember, I've talked about this a lot, the Andrew Whitworth contract. And it's because I spoke with them personally about a lot of it and how hurt they were when they essentially felt like they were written off because he was 30, over 30. And so they do consider age. So I think when they're looking at a contract and the length of it, it's like, okay, you're 30 now. Can you be as productive at 32? Can you be as productive at 33?
Right. And the way I always see the production from a pass rusher standpoint. We see Von Miller right now still playing at a high level.
Yeah, it's
right?
wild.
Albeit it's not every play, but you still get Von Miller. I think that pass rush is a position that is invaluable. You can never have enough good pass rushers, especially when you look at a team like the Bengals, right, that struggled in the pass rush department. Outside of Trey Hendrickson, it's a lot to be desired right now. They don't have any true set number 2 edge rusher that can apply pressure on opposing offensive line, on opposing quarterback. So I think they've got to find a way to keep Trey Hendrickson in the fold.